Are you looking for a free platform to trace, evaluate and manage prompts for your LLM apps? Let's discover Langfuse, a free self-hosted LLM engineering platform. Langfuse is a powerful tool to enable a professional development workflow for LLM-based projects. It includes a version-based prompt manager, requests and sessions tracing, annotations and evaluation, tests with datasets, and advanced metrics. Everything to allow teams to collaborate efficiently with the unique needs of AI. It is LLM agnostic, allowing all the major models to integrate seamlessly with ready-to-use SDKs for Python and JavaScript. To start using Langfuse, you can use the cloud version for free, including 50,000 units per month and 2 users. Then you can upgrade to a paid plan for more or self-deploy it for free by following their deployment guide on their documentation. Or you can use a platform like ours, Elestio, to deploy it seamlessly on your server or the cloud provider of your choice. We handle the installation, backups, updates and ongoing maintenance for you. To create your Langfuse instance on our platform, head to ls.io and click on Login. Then deploy my first service, search for Langfuse, here it is, and select. Choose between the different cloud providers, regions and service plans based on your needs. I will keep the default ones and then next. From there you can adjust more advanced settings, choose between different level of support, and the first one is free and included by default. And once you're good, hit the Create Service button. Once the installation is finished, you will receive this email telling you that your new instance of Langfuse is ready. Follow the click here to get the password link here. You arrive on Elestio administration dashboard for your Langfuse instance. Copy the password to your clipboard here and open the link. Then on the sign-in screen, type your email, paste your password and click on Sign In. We arrive on the nice user interface of Langfuse with a nice onboarding, leading us to create our first organization. Let's do it. New organization. Let's name it Elestio Team and create. From there, you can invite new members, typing their email and their role. In most software, you only have admin and member without much details about what they are. But here, you can see when you hover it, every permission you have with each role, which is very useful to find the right one. But currently I'm alone for this demo, so I will skip inviting new members and go to the next step, which is to create our first project. Let's name it My Demo Project and create. Once you do it, you will have nice instructions on how to connect your project to Langfuse with the creation of API keys and the setup of the SDK based on your language. Me, I'm more a JavaScript user, so I would switch to this one. But depending on what you are doing, you will find the right SDK for your use case. But before everything else, we first need to create a project. Let's create a very simple project using Node.js that will use OpenAI and prompts to generate content. In an empty folder, I will run yarn init to be able to add packages. Okay, demo Langfuse. Okay, entry point index. No repository. Okay. Perfect. Now, if we go to OpenAI documentation, here is what we need to do a call to GPT-4 model with a prompt. In a new file, here, index.js. We can paste it, save it, and it's importing OpenAI, so we install the library yarn add OpenAI. But to be able to run OpenAI requests, we will need to add our API key. To do this, I will create an environment file .env, and inside I will add an OpenAI API key, which starts with sk-. I will paste it, but of course I won't show you my key. Once done, here in new OpenAI, we can add parameters API key, and we will use process.env.openai API key. And to automatically load our environment file, we will use the .env package, which is here yarn add.env. And to have it load our config, we just need to do this import. The installation, yarn add.env, we copy the import, put it on top of our file, and let's try if our code works. Node index.js. I have a warning, but it's doing the thing properly. To get rid of the warning, we simply need to go to the package and add type module. If we run it again, no more warning, and we have the generation from OpenAI. Now to use Langfuse on top of our OpenAI SDK, we will use the Langfuse package, and they have this function named Observe OpenAI that you wrap around your OpenAI declaration, and it will start to trace and observe all our requests, the inputs and outputs of it. Let's simply follow the different steps. So we already have OpenAI, so let's add Langfuse. Yarn add Langfuse. We have the choice then either to add environment variables or directly passed variables. As we set up .env, let's continue with environment once. Here it is. We can go to our environment file. I hid again my API key for OpenAI, and you can paste this. And to get our API keys inside the Langfuse, click on Create API Key. It will give you your secret and public key. Copy and paste it. The example was wrong, like it has the double quotes, but we don't want them. Take the public one, paste it, and for the base URL, it's automatically filled with our instance. Copy and paste it. And now we simply have to add the Observe OpenAI on top of our new OpenAI. We create OpenAI here. We can add Observe OpenAI and do the import from Langfuse. Perfect. Now, if we try, it still generates the content based on our default prompt here, but based on your project, you might still see it as pending. And they are explaining that if the program you are using is quitting before the flush is done from Langfuse, then it won't receive the event. So we need to manually call the flush async method. Right after our code, we can call await client.flush async. Now let's try again. Node index.js. We have our sentence generated. It took a few milliseconds after it. And now back in Langfuse, we can see active because it detected events from it. Now we should see our first request when we go to Open Dashboard. You have all the metrics you need, the number of traces, the costs per model. So before diving more into it, let's change the model we are using. If we go to the list of models on OpenAI, you can also use other models than OpenAI, and it will aggregate everything into your dashboard. Let's choose O4 Mini. Here, instead of GPT-4, we can use O4-Mini. We can run 1 or 2 requests to feed more data into Langfuse. Here is one. Let's do it again. Okay, here it is. Now we can reload Langfuse, and we should see at least 3 traces. Perfect. 2 have been made with with O4 Mini and 1 with GPT-4. You can see the number of tokens used is much higher on O4 Mini, but the cost is also calculated per model. It really gives you a proper overview on the time that the models are taking, the requests you are doing. So you can really choose the right model for the right use case based on the data you have, instead of taking your decision blindly or to need to set up a lot of different things to have those metrics. For example, here in the model latencies, you can see that GPT-4.1 is much faster in general than the O4 Mini. But depending on what you are doing, it might be important or not. Maybe the cost is important to you, maybe the latency, maybe the quality of the answers. And you can take this decision based on all the data you will get from Langfuse. Here it's the dashboard view, but if you go to tracing, traces, You can see each request individually. Let's open the last one. And you can see the time it took, the cost of the request, the latency, the user, what they typed, the assistant, what it replied, and also add annotation, but we will see it later. First, let's go to tracing and sessions. What it is the grouping of all the different traces into individual sessions. For example, you are building a chatbot. You would have one session with one user. It would group every answers so you can evaluate if it was accurate or not. And here we don't have any session yet because to enable it, we need to add a session ID to our traces. We can open the documentation and it's clearly explaining what it does, assigning a session ID to a trace to group them into sessions and to add it using JS. You simply add the session ID. We can add it on the second parameter of observe open API. The first parameter is the OpenAI client. Then we can add a Langfuse config. And inside session ID, on a real project, it could be a real session ID or the user number. But for this video, let's choose manually 42. We can run one or two requests. One, let's run a second. 2, perfect. Let's change the session ID to 43 and run it. A second time, enter. Of course, you should use a better prompt and user input. Once done, when we go to sessions, you can see our different sessions. Though the ID we have 42 and 43 when it was creating, how long it lasts, the number of traces inside, and the total cost of it. It's even more detailed than OpenAI billing usage, while with the huge benefit that you can use other models and merge all those data together. Let's open one session, here the 42, and you see the different traces inside. And on the right, you can see scores, and you can add annotation. You can also do it on a unique trace. Let's do it, annotate, select, and we can't select anything yet because we need to enable the score configuration on our Langfuse instance. Let's do it. It opens the settings of our instance and we can add a new score config. Let's say first we want to say if it's working or not. We can call it error. It will be a boolean, either true or false. We can add a description, but this is straightforward. Submit, confirm. Let's add a second one. Let's say it's the quality and it's between 1 and 10. We submit it, confirm. Then of course, based on your use cases and your scenario, you might need different criteria. Let's add a last one. We can name it global score, but it's a bit the same than quality, but this time from 1 to 100 and submit. Okay. So now we have these 3 things we can use in annotation. Go back to the sessions here and annotate. And now you can choose the different thing based on what you saw. So let's say here it worked, it replied. So it's not an error. Then the quality. It's difficult to say the quality of this, but let's say randomly that it is an 8. And the global score, I didn't save it, so let's do it again, 8. And the global score, we could try more than the range, but it would tell us there's an issue. So let's say 90, and it saves automatically. So now we can see on the right the score for this trace. And then on top of that, we can add comments and talk with the team about it. It supports the markdown syntax, so we can use it. Test scenario. I liked this. We can put it in bold. We should change that. And we can send our comments. You can see it's formatted correctly. And with this, you can chat with your team and add notes to polish the prompt or the use cases over time. And so far, we are using prompts that we typed directly inside our code. But instead, what we can do is go to prompts and create prompt directly in the user interface of Langfuse, with the benefits of having it outside of the code project, having version control over it, and allow every member of your team to collaborate on it, even non-technical persons. Let's create our first prompt. We can name it Story Builder. We choose between a text or a chat one. Let's again have a very simple one. Write a 3 lines story with an introduction, an action, and an end. On the bottom right, you can add a prompt or reference. It's only if you already have existing prompts, but it can help you to enhance it over time. You can add arbitrary JSON configuration, add labels, but as it is the first one, it will be the production one. And we can add a commit message explaining what this update or creation is about. Here, as it is the first one, it's straightforward. We can just create it as is. Okay, so now we have our prompt named Story Builder that we created. It is the first version and it contains this. We can use it multiple ways. If we click on Use Prompt, we'll have the instruction for Python or JS. What it is a call to Langfuse to get our prompt by the name Story Builder. Then we pass it to OpenAI. Let's do it on top of everything. Const Langfuse will be equal a new Langfuse. Then our prompt, it will be equal to await Langfuse dot get prompt and the name Story Builder. Then on the observe OpenAI, we can pass the Langfuse prompt here, which is the prompt object. And then here, instead of manually typing our sentence, we use prompt.prompt, which contains the string that we have. Okay, let's try it. In the terminal, run, and we have our answer. You could see before it was only one sentence, and now it's respecting what we asked. An introduction, at dawn, Mara found a glowing compass, okay. Then the story, she followed its pulsing, and the conclusion, by nightfall. Okay, perfect. Now, if we go to linked generations, you can see all the different generations that were related to this prompt. This is because here we added the Langfuse prompt. If you forget it and only use the prompt here, it won't be able to track it. You can also test your prompt using the playground here, but to do it, you would need to add an LLM API key on your Langfuse instance. So I won't do it, but it's just adding your OpenAI key or whatever LLM you are using. And if you are using N8N, they even have a node for Langfuse prompt management. So you can call get prompt and then pass it into your OpenAI node or any AI agent. Then let's say, okay, I like what I see, but it's not perfect. You want to enhance your prompt. You would go on new, which is a new version. And let's say you want to polish it. You want a 3 lines adventure story. Here, you can push it directly to production or not. Let's say, okay, we do it. And in the commit, you say switching to adventure only stories. And you save new prompt version. And now you can see the different version over time and see the linked generation. So we never use it here, but only here, allowing you to understand precisely how the answers evolved based on the prompt evolutions. Another useful feature you have on the left is the evaluation. You can either run it by humans, maybe your QA team, or you can, if you connect an LLM to Langfuse, use LLM as a judge. Let's choose human annotation. And what it is, it will create a queue based on all the traces, a bit like what we did when we added annotation on our sessions. You can also run tests if you go to Datasets. We won't test it in this video, but let's check what it is. Go to learn more. And the idea is to set up tests that will have predefined answers, expected answers, to ensure that before doing any update, it's still respecting the different tests. And if the tests pass, then you can put updates of your prompts or LLM models. As always, for features I didn't cover in this video and to go further, I highly recommend you to check out their documentation to discover interesting features and things that you could benefit from. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed discovering Langfuse with us. Please hit the like button to help our channel be more visible to other open source lovers. Don't forget to subscribe to not miss our next platform overviews. If you want to continue your open source journey, watch this video, available here.